So with this practice today, we're going to get ready for being on the hands, specifically on the hands and the knees. And so we want to warm up the wrists a little bit. So I'll ask you to lift your hands, make gentle fists, and then attempt to draw circles, same direction, same timing. So if you watch your hands, you might find that one tries to go the other way, or it lags behind a little bit. Let's see if you can get them to go together. Same direction, same timing. While still breathing and making sure that your shoulders haven't risen up towards your ears. It can get a little funny. And you can reverse your circles. Can they be any bigger? Can you make bigger circles? Find more movement of the wrist, more mobility of the wrist joints. And then give them a good little shake out. And we'll stretch them a little more. So bring your hands together. Lift your elbows and your shoulders up. Take your shoulders backwards and down. Keep the elbows lifted and in line with each other. And move your hands over to one side, out in front of a shoulder. Make sure it's not going backwards, you're not twisting. But if you look at your elbows, they're in line still. They're all both out in front of you. And then you can press all the way over to the other side. You'll be feeling a stretch in the forearm. So like underneath. Watch out again for shoulders, for elbows dipping or going behind. And can you breathe comfortably? Good, and then come back to center and flip the hands upside down so your fingers point down and the backs of the hands touch each other. And let the shoulders and the elbows go heavy until you feel just the right amount of stretch for you. It's a little different because now the knuckles are pressing into each other, so they don't want to quite align. They might try to sit in between each other. How's your breathing still? Good. Give them one more little shake, or even just a pull back of your fingers. Yes, and then we'll get onto hands and knees. So move whatever you've been sitting on out of your way. You might take a blanket or folded up towel and put that underneath your knees if they feel too much pressure from the floor or they feel the floor too much. With your hands, there's a few different options. Typically we go flat hands like so, but what will happen is we tend to push down at the wrist the most. The knuckles end up lifting. We'd like to do a little more the opposite, like pressing, out to your knuckles instead. I wouldn't recommend putting extra cushioning underneath your wrists like you do with your knees because it's different, of course, different joints. And we will tend to press into the cushion that we've put that will still push down at the wrist. Another option for your knees is you can pull your mat in, fold it, and make that the cushion for under your knees if you don't have something else, say. And so another option for the hands is to be in fists with the thumbs pointing out in front. This is a soft fist instead of like really clenching. And notice that my thumbs, when pointing out in front, here's a visual of it. If I turn my thumbs in instead, notice that my shoulders go forward, kind of bulldog there. So I want to put the thumbs forward and then be able to draw the shoulders more back, giving the neck some space. One more option, if you have blocks like so, or anything that works like a block, is you can be down on your forearm, on your elbow on the block, which if you notice, one arm straight, one arm bent, it's pretty much the same size or same height. So if I come back to that straight arm and down on the block, pretty much the same height. So it works, it's really handy for you if you don't want to bear any weight on the wrist. Don't want to bear any wrist on the weight. Okay, so go into a rounded back, cat pose, exhale, and then go into an arched back as you inhale. You can always move your hands. You can always, when you cat, lift right up off them by pulling into your belly enough or leaning back to your legs more. Make sure you let out all the breath, pull the belly in tight. You notice my toes, you can point them or you can curl them under, you can flex them, depending on what feels best for you. So don't worry if your breath doesn't time exactly or you're not timing to your breath exactly, but attempt. See if you can exhale all the breath out when you round. And let in the breath, let the belly spill so that you inhale more when you arch. Or truly let the breath be the leader. Move on the breath. That way, if you are, it's yoga, union. If you are timing your movement exactly to your breath, there's less space for your mind to wander elsewhere, for it to go somewhere else. Do that one more time. Next time you exhale, can you squeeze up a little more, check on your wrists again. And when you inhale, really let the belly release. And then if you need a break from your hands, or actually we will break from hands and find a posture known as child's pose. So I'm going to change this blanket. I'm going to fold it again and use it underneath the feet in case when you sit back like this, if the feet and ankles are not appreciative of that, if they're not in agreement, then you can use that right underneath the ankle and top of the foot, so there's less of that compression, less of the pointed position. Then, if your knees don't like this compression, the full fold like that, then you can use the bolster or a pillow and put it underneath your bum, in between your bum and your heels. So now we've raised up the back end, so if we're coming into a forward fold like this, which is child's pose, then it may be a little too low for the head. So you might want to bring in the block or underneath your forehead on any height. It has 3 variations if you're using the block. You want to attempt to let other parts take the weight rather than the arms. So we're not letting the arms and shoulders hold us up, making sure that the neck is relaxed. If it's okay to go all the way down, go down. You're getting a little more inversion out of it, having the head lower than the heart. And another variation of child's pose is when we have the knees wide. So you can still use that as well, but I'm going to show the other variation first. So the knees wider apart makes room for the torso to spill through the legs to sit in between. And you can have a variation where your arms are stretched out in front. You can use the arms as a pillow. You can rock or make some motions and see if you can get more comfort out of this. You can again have the block or have the blanket underneath your head. And one that is nice and comfy is to use the bolster. Put it just between your knees so most of it sticks out in front of you, and then you can lay down on it. I might just stay here for a while. You can stay too wherever you've gone. Of course, if you go like this and you put one ear on the bolster for a little bit, then you'll want to also switch, put the other ear on. You wouldn't necessarily want to go like this. I'm smushing my nose. You can hear the change in my voice, but I wouldn't want to put face down on that one. So this is a gentle back stretch here. This is also getting into the hips when we have the knees wider. When you have the knees closer together, you might be able to notice that it's a little more of a back stretch. The back can go more rounded because I'm kind of up over my thighs. So stay there a little while longer or keep rearranging, keep trying things. It might be no props, it might be 1, 2, 3, many. Use whatever you need to get comfy. Child's pose is meant to be a rest pose. So it's a pose you would go to during class when you need a break, during life when you need a break, take a child's pose. The idea with child's pose is like as kids, you might see kids do this, that we go kind of hide in that shape. We cover our face, right? Bury our head in the sand a little bit, kind of. So enjoy child's pose anytime. Please use it when you need to. And we'll move on. After we've been folded in the legs like that, if you come back up on your hands and knees, you can stretch one leg out behind. Make sure that it doesn't take you back too far, so your hip is right over top of your knee. The other hip is over the knee. And you curl the toes under and push the heel back. Notice I brought the toes closer than my heel. Then I'm getting more of a calf stretch. Of course, it depends on how tight your calf muscles are at the moment. And then you could also point again and get a little more of the stretch of the top of the foot and the shin, and check wrists. Make sure they're not getting too heavy. You can be back on fists again if you need to. Good. And then of course we'll do the other leg. We always do both sides. We attempt to match them as best we can. So make sure again we're not getting dragged back. You can pull the toes in closer, pull the heel out, or wiggle the toes further back. Negotiate with the muscles. And get in the point again if you wish. You can slightly pull forward. Check that you're breathing. And then when you feel ready, bring that knee back in. Give it another little cat-cow if you want, or maybe some circles like we did in the first video. Any kind of movement. You can even flip one hand upside down, and then the other if you want to give them an opposite stretch. And then we're going to talk about the hands a little bit more, because from here, being on hands and knees, we're going to prepare for bearing a little more weight on the hands possibly. So when we bear weight on the hands, we want it to be in the knuckles instead of at the wrist. So where I was saying there about pressing the hands forward a little bit to get more of the weight to the knuckles. Because of the carpal tunnel in here where the nerve bundle is, if we press on that, we're going to be giving the nerves a little bit of trouble perhaps, so we can press more to the knuckles, which is weird. We use our hands more for grabbing hold of things than we do for having them wide open, unless you do a lot of jazz hands. So we have to train the hands to be able to press out into the knuckles more. So don't worry if you're not getting it right away. Yeah, all of this stuff, if it is brand new, then it will take some practice. So be okay with the practice. And let's try it back to a seat and see if anything's changed once we've gone through the cat-cow, the rounding and arching. If we sit back in our seat again, up on whatever prop you want to be in, and then we go back to rounding the back and arching the back again, does it feel different? Have you changed? Do you feel a little more freedom? Do you feel a change in your breath? Feel free to add the circles if you want to, or add in a side bend if you need it at the moment. One of our practice is all about getting us closer to self, meaning knowing what we need, becoming the expert on self. What do you need right now? I'd love to hear the answers that you just spoke. You can leave them in the comments if you want to. What do you need right now? And then we're going to try a new shape again. So I'm going to spin around so you can see it from the side. It's a posture known as Dandasana or staff pose. So if we're up on higher height, then the legs are also going to be higher. So we can use a block or anything else that you have underneath the knees. The idea is we want to get the back as tall, as straight as possible, rather than this slouchy, hunchy thing that we tend to do when we're sitting. So how do you play around with that? Can you get your tail a little bit out behind you? Imagine, I sometimes use the idea that like a concert pianist, when they flick their coattails out behind them, it's like you're trying to get your tail out behind, your tailbone, so that you can sit rather than, you can sit tall rather than having it tucked underneath you. So where is that place where your rib cage is? Right over your pelvis. And then your hands can press down. Alternatives, because there's always options, you can wiggle down to the very front edge of the bolster or whatever you're sitting on, kind of pulls your bum out from behind you or pulls the tail out like I was talking about, and then you can see if you can get nice and tall again. And you will, especially if they feel tight, you'll be feeling a stretch under the legs here, which is handy. We're doing this as a prep for the next, for the downward dog that we'll play with next. So are you breathing? Typically you are. You aren't stopping your breath completely, but you might be holding it a little bit. Sometimes we're keeping it somewhat up high, or only in certain parts. Can you breathe into your back? Can you breathe up under your shoulders? What if we point the toes when we inhale? I'm giving you a little challenge. And flex when we exhale. Point to the timing of your inhale and flex to the timing of your exhale. And then just like the wrists are very similar, can you draw the ankles around in circles? Same direction, same timing. Notice that your legs might try to do the motion. Can you attempt to keep it more at the ankle? And then reverse your circles. Like the wrist, but maybe not quite as much. Your ankles might also have a difference. One might be a little better at following than the other, following the instructions that we're giving. Then you can give the legs a little dribble. You can hear that bounce my voice a little bit. Maybe you clap the feet together instead. Or just wobble them around. You can even use your hands to massage the legs, especially if it's starting to get tight up at the hip flexors or the tops of the thighs. Give them a little bit of massage. See if you can loosen them. And then I'm going to change things around here a little bit and come back again for down dog.